Okay, so this vlog is probably gonna come across like I'm some huge asshole. Hey guys, welcome back to the DrCliff AuD vlog. This is vlog number 199, and today I want to talk to you guys about a pet peeve of mine, which is the whole idea of the pricing of hearing aids, or rather, what certain clinics charge for hearing aids and related services. But before I get into this vlog, guys, if you could do me a huge favor, click the like button, really helps out the channel. And if you are not yet subscribed with notifications turned on, go ahead and do that as well. It is greatly appreciated. So let me kind of give you a little bit of a background as to what I'm really talking about here, because that might not have been coherent there on my intro. So I spend a lot of time going on to different Facebook forums, and most of them are consumer forums, right? Where people are asking questions about hearing care, they're just looking for answers. And sometimes other consumers are very good at answering those questions appropriately. Sometimes other hearing care professionals are good about answering those questions appropriately. And then other times they all get it wrong. And so then I have to come in and say, okay, you need to look at it from perhaps this perspective. It's not that the other answers are wrong, it's just that they might be lacking perspective with what they're answering, okay? And I do understand that can make me look like a jerk. It's like, Cliff, who says that you're the person who knows everything about hearing care? I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying. But the thing that I consistently see that is the huge pet peeve of mine is when someone posts a question about, hey, I got a quote for these hearing aids at this price. Is that a good deal? And then I'm like, okay, well, that's a fair question, really. But then I start seeing the comments come on there being like, oh, well, I got those hearing aids for this price. Oh, well, I got those hearing aids for this price. Or I see a provider jump on there and be like, oh, that seems like a high price. I only sell them for this price, which is what, a couple $1,000s less than what you paid, so that's probably a ripoff. And I just sit back and I'm just like, you guys have no idea whether or not that's a good price or not. And you don't have any idea because you don't have enough contextual information about the question. Okay, so there was one particular post, which is obviously prompting this vlog today. There was one particular post where someone was like, hey, I just got offered a pair of Phonak hearing aids at a clinic for like $9,000. And I'm like, okay, you know, that's up there. That's a good, you know, reason. I mean, it's a high price, right? I mean, even my clinic, we don't charge that much. But here's the thing. People are jumping on there and saying like, oh my gosh, $9,000 for a pair of hearing aids, that is an absolute ripoff. And then some providers are on there, just like I said earlier, they're like, oh, well, if you come to my clinic, I can get you those hearing aids for like, you know, $7,000, not $9,000, and you can save some money. And I start thinking like, okay, well, price has a lot to do with not just the technology level of the hearing aids, because that does contribute to a certain amount of the price and potentially a large amount of the price. But the other things that go into how much something costs is the quality of care that is given. So if they're following comprehensive audiologic best practices and they're doing it with a person-centered care approach, then that is worth more than a clinic who's just like, yeah, let's get these hearing aids, pop them in your ears. How does that sound? Okay, let me know if you ever need me again, and definitely come back in 3 years so I can sell you another pair of hearing aids. Like, those are two completely different business models. Now, you really need to understand when you're trying to determine, if you're trying to determine if $9,000 is a good price for a pair of hearing aids, you really need to understand what the quality of the care is going to be. The other thing you have to consider is what is the quantity of care. So they might be like, oh, that $9,000 will allow us to do all of the fitting sequence with those devices to optimize your performance, following best practices, presumably. And then it also is going to provide you a certain amount of follow-up care for potentially years down the road, which has a lot of value to it, especially if you need a lot of their care over the course of that time. The other clinic could be like, well, that will get you the hearing aids. We'll go through 1 or 2 visits to fit the hearing aids to make sure they sound good, and then you're on your own. And you have to either come back and pay for more services, or you have to go somewhere else, right? Which usually doesn't happen to go somewhere else. Usually they want you to come back to their clinic so they can get you to buy another pair of hearing aids a couple years down the road. But I digress. The point here is that if that clinic that's charging $9,000 is going to give you a lot of aftercare, a lot of high quality aftercare for that cost or for that price that you pay, then yeah, it's probably much more worth it. And on the other hand, if a clinic is charging you that amount of money but they're hardly giving you anything, that's probably a ripoff, right? And then you also have to consider where that clinic is doing business. If you are in the heart of San Francisco and you're spending $9,000 on hearing aids, you would probably consider that to be a steal, considering which there's a lot of stealing going on in San Francisco, so maybe that's reasonable to say. Nonetheless, if you're in San Francisco and they're charging you $9,000 for a pair of premium hearing aids, that's like, okay, that's cost of doing business in San Francisco is a heck of a lot higher than what Pocatello, Idaho, right? I have a buddy from Pocatello, so it just came to mind. But it's, you know, there's a city there, I presume. But it's not. The cost of doing business is substantially lower in a rural area compared to going to a major city like New York or San Francisco or San Diego or even a Phoenix area, right? So you have to consider and weigh all of these things before you can just jump out and say, that's a ripoff. That is way too much money to spend on hearing aids. Now, I know that this is potentially an out of touch video for some individuals watching it, because for some of you guys, you're like, Cliff, you're an a-hole. I can't afford $9,000. I don't care where I live in the country, and I don't care what type of quality of care they give me. I cannot afford that. And I understand that, right? I'm coming from the perspective of the people who want really, really high quality care. Chances are you're going to be spending good money for it. But for people who can't afford to have the highest level of care possible, that is what Costco is for. That is what charitable organizations are for. You know, I donate my time and money to charitable organizations to fit individuals who cannot afford hearing aids with hearing aids on a sliding scale or for free, completely free. So there's something for everybody out there, but I just don't like when I go onto these forums and I see that consumers and professionals alike are making a judgment as to whether a hearing aid is a good price when they have no context for the rest of the information that they would need to say if it's good or not. And on top of that, I think that internally inside of our profession, and you know, there's contention inside of my profession, and some of it's probably caused by me, and I understand that because I'm trying to spread awareness of hearing treatment. I call out things that I think are not good, and not everybody likes me for that, right? And it creates a little bit of animosity. What I fully support is audiologists and hearing instrument specialists selling hearing aids, but we also have this contention of the people who sell hearing aids for a low amount of money and people who sell hearing aids for a high amount of money. It seems from my perspective, and I could be just giving you only my perspective here, that the people who don't charge very much money look at the people who charge more money and they say, that's a ripoff, you're charging way too much. But I also think that people who charge good money, or a lot of money, let's say, for lack of a better term, a lot of money, look at the people who charge not very much money and say, you guys are devaluing everybody in this, right? And so it kind of goes both ways. I remember when I was a student and I would go to my first clinic and it's like, okay, we charge $5,000 for a pair of premium hearing aids and we provide people with a fitting and 3 years worth of follow-up care where they come in 2 times a year. So that was my anchor point. That was what I felt that is the going rate of hearing aids nowadays. And then when I went to another clinic and they're like, oh, well, we charge $7,000 for premium level hearing aids, a fitting, and then 3 years worth of aftercare. And I remember being like, you guys are charging way too much money for this, right? And then I went to another clinic where they charge $4,000 for premium hearing aids, fitting, and 3 years worth of aftercare. And I remember being like, you guys are charging way too little. This is, you should be charging way more than this because this is not good for your business to be charging just that amount. And I just remember like, it all has to do with what your anchor point is. Like me being a provider, I tend to want to look at the price of hearing aids based on what I charge for them. And anyone who charges less is devaluing the profession, and anyone who charges more is ripping off their patients. It kind of reminds me of a George Carlin joke where he says that when you're driving, anyone that is going slower than you is a jerk, and everyone that is going faster than you is an asshole, right? Like that's the joke. And I think something contextual like that. It's the same thing when it comes to hearing treatment. You really have to understand that everybody looks at the cost of hearing aids from their own lens, and it's very hard to fight your way outside of that lens. I have trained myself to fight out of that lens so I can take a look from a non-judgmental standpoint and look at what people are charging for hearing treatment and be like, okay, I can see the perspective. I need more information. And then maybe once I have more information, I'm still like, I still think that you're overcharging for hearing aids based on the crappy care that you're actually giving your patients, or that you are undercharging based on the extreme high quality of care that you're giving to your patients, and you're devaluing yourself. And the thing is that you don't want to go out of business because you're charging too little money and providing too high of care. That is bad for your community. They would rather you charge a little bit more money and still provide the same high quality of care. That's just my 2 cents. So hopefully this discussion has helped you understand maybe a different perspective than what you had before. I do realize that this video probably rubbed some people the wrong way for me having this particular perspective, but what's new is just another Sunday, right? That being said, if you guys really enjoyed this vlog and you want to hear me talk about more topics like this when it comes to like hearing aid pricing structures and stuff like that, make sure that you hit that like button. And as always, I'll see you next week.